story of our congregation begins in the year 1920. Chandler was not a city yet. It had just been incorporated as a town. Dr. A.J. Chandler had invested in thousands of acres of land to grow cotton, watermelon, potatoes, onions, and citrus trees. He had the land and he had the equipment, but he had no one to work the fields. So Dr. Chandler asked for assistance from the federal government, and they sent an agent from the Department of Agriculture to Mexico so he could recruit families who were willing to work the land. And many of the families fleeing from the Revolutionary War in Mexico signed up to work the fields. They worked for low wages in the extreme heat that is typical of Chandler. The migrant families formed a community in the outskirts of the early town of Chandler, living in makeshift tents and humble adobe houses. One of those families was a family from Imuri, Sonora. Miguel and Cristina Vidal, together with their 8 children, settled on the banks of the canal that ran through the neighborhood, just steps from where our building stands today. A missionary by the name of Marshall Brewster and his wife Ruth felt the need to reach out to the migrant community even though he spoke no Spanish, and the migrant community spoke no English. Cristina Vidal was the first to give her heart to the Lord. Soon, her family followed, and by 1927, the number of believers had grown to the point that they needed a place to gather. So Miguel, Cristina, their children, and the other early members of the congregation made the adobes that make up the walls of our existing building, and they hand-cut the wood trusses that you see when you walk in the sanctuary. A lot has changed in Chandler since 1920. Our population is now nearly 253,000 residents. And it's projected that just in the downtown area, within a 1-mile radius of our congregation, there will be more than 150,000 new square feet of office space. There'll be new commercial and hotel developments, and that all of this will create nearly 1,000 new jobs. And a lot has changed in our congregation too. We're no longer in the outskirts of town. We're now part of the historic downtown Chandler district. Our sanctuary was completed in 1928. And although it's been newly renovated, I believe that the adobes that still make up the walls to this very day of this renovated building speak to the tens of thousands of men, women, and children that have come to know the Lord in this very place. And I believe that it speaks to their faithfulness for nearly 100 years. But perhaps more importantly, it speaks to a heritage of compassion for the disenfranchised. It speaks to a commitment to reaching out to people that may not look like us. It may not speak the same language that we do. The Lord has been faithful to us all these years. And we have all seen His glory in this place. But what if? What if the Lord planted us in this tiny town nearly 100 years ago? What if the journey that we have been on was just preparation from God for such a time as this? So this month and for the remainder of the year, as we remember our heritage and as we talk about our church history, would you join me in this prayer? God, will you do it again?
All the day long.